to our YouTube channel where we solve all the exercises on comprehensive textbook, math textbook. As you can see here now, here we're talking about what law of indices. That was not time. If it's the first time of watching our YouTube channel, please kindly do what? Subscribe to our channel and like. This is all the exercise we are going to do. Although this one is one to 5, but for now we're going to take it 1 to 3. And if this is the first time you have solved page 15 and 16 in comprehensive textbook and the exercises, this is another exercise here we have here now. Let's go to law of indices. Number 1 says 63 is 64 is power 2 over 3. This is the question. So what do you do now? All I do is that this 3 means what? Cube root. So I'll say what? Cube root of what? 64. This 2 is power 2 equals to the square root on the cube root of 4 is what? Is 4. Being that 4 goes power 2 is what? 16. This is our final answer. We go to number B questions, which is what? 16 goes power 0. And we say any number or any power or any base goes power 0 is what? Is 1. This is our final answer. Then we go to number C. Number 1C. And number 1 is what? 4 goes power what? 4 is power what? Minus 3 over 2. So automatically, since negative, anything negative is what? 1 over. So automatically this negative will become what? 1 over. This fraction is what? The square root, is a square fraction. So this 2 means square root of 4. And your what? Is power 3 equals to the square root of 4 is what? 2. So 1 over 2 is power what? 3. Which means what? 1 over 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is what? 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 2 is what? 8. 1 over 8 in our final answer. Then we continue again to what? Number 1D. Number 1D says 0 decimal what? 0 decimal 25. All I do, I will what? Convert to fraction. So the fraction of 0 decimal 25 is what? 25 over 100. Negative law and fractional law. So these are two laws that is affecting this one now. All I do, I'll find this negative law is what? 1 over. This negative law is what? 1 over. This fraction is what? Is a square root. So square root of 25 over 100 equals to what? 1 over. The square root of 25 is what? Is 5. And the square root of 100 is what? Is 10. Then do what? I will now what? Expand this. Meaning that 1 over 1 divided by what? 5 over 10, which is equals to 1 over 1. Now, if you in your GS3 or GS3, they told us about this division sign, that whenever this division is changed to multiplication, what happened? The denominator become what? The numerator. Why the numerator become what? The denominator? Meaning that 1 times 10 over 5, which is equals to what? 10 times 1 is what? 10 over 5. And 10 over 5 is what? Equals to what? 2. This is the final answer. Okay, question. So we see that 3 times 8 is what? 24. Plus 3 is what? 27 over 8. Then I've what? Convert this into what? To proper fraction. So I'll say 3 times 1 is what? 3. Plus 2 is what? 5. So 5 over 3. I've also converted this mixed fraction to what? A proper fraction. So what next? I'll find the what? The cube, because this is a fractional what? Law. Since the fractional law, what happened? I will turn it to root, which means that this thing is what become what? Cube root of this question. So the cube root of 27 over 8, the cube root, because this 3 here is become what? Cube root. So the cube root of, okay, this one what? 5. So the cube root of 27 is what? 3. Why the cube root of 8 is what? Is 5. Is what? Is 3. Is 2. Sorry. Is 2. So the cube root of 8 is 2. This one what? 5. With my 3 into 5 places, is 3 times 3 times 3 in 5 places what? Is 2, 4, 3. Why the on 2 is power 5 is what? 32. Which means 2 times 2 times 2 into 5 places. This is my final. 16 over my 1f is what? 16 over 25. Open a bracket. 1.5. That is the question here. So what happened? I will convert this decimal to what? To fraction. Which means what? 16 over 25 Convert now, the fraction of this is what? 3 over 2. That is the fraction, because if you use your calculator, you point your calculator to and point your 3 over 2, you get what? 1.5. So we say that now this is a fractional law. So we say this, and this is 2, which is square root. So square root of 16 over 25 raised by what? 3. Right? So we say the cube root of the square root of 16 is what? Is 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. So 4 over the square root of 25 is what? Is 5. Which means what? Which means that it's raised by what? Raised by 3. Times 4 times 4 is what? 64. 5 times 5 times 5 is what? 125. So these are final answer, which means that this square root of 16 is what? Is 4 over the square root of 5 is what? 5. Which this thing now is what? This is 3 here now. This part 3. So 4 is part 3 is what? 64. And 5 is part 3 is what? 125. That is okay. That is answer for number 1F. Now we go to number 1G. We go to number 1G. Number 1G. 1G. Our number 1G says what? 64 divided by what? 27. Which by what? Minus 2 over 3. This is our question. So without wasting time, this is 2 law here, negative law and fractional law. So we go with the fraction, we go to the negative first, which is what? Negative means what? 1 over. That is enough negative law. And then the fractional law, we go with fractional law. This is 3. So we go to what? Cube root of 64 over 27 goes by what? 2 equals to 1 over the cube root of 64 is what? Is 4. And the cube root of 27 is what? Is 3. Don't forget, okay? Put your what? Okay, on this power 2. Then we see that 1 times 1 is what? Is still 1. 4 times 4 is what? 16. Over 3 times 3 is what? Is 9. Automatically, I will now what? Expand it by saying what? 1 over 1 divided by what? 16 over 9. Which means what? When this division sign is turned to what? Multiplication, what happened? The denominator will become the numerator, and the numerator become what? Denominator. Which means what? 1 over 1 times 9 over 16. Which means what? Equals to what? 9 times 1 is what? 9 over 16. This is our final answer. We go to our number 1 what? H. Exercise 1H, which is what? 50 over 32 raised by what? Minus 1 whole number 1 over 2. So what happened? I convert it back to what? This fraction to a normal proper fraction, but this is a mixed fraction. Convert to proper fraction. Which means what? 50 over 32 minus 2 times 1, 2 plus 1 is what? 3. 3 over 2. And if you can watch very well, this 50 does not have what? Square root, because okay, negative. This okay, let's go with negative first. 1 over, I've obeyed negative law here. Now this 2 is what? Square root, right? 50 over 32. This one was 3. So and very well, 50 does not have square root, and 32 does not have what? Square root. What happened? I divide to lowest term. So divide to lowest term. What can divide 50? 2 can divide 50. How many times? It will go in 25 times. So 50 divided by 2 is what? 25 over 32 divided by 2 is what? 16. This by what? 3. We'll look at what I did again. I divide by 2. I use 2 to divide 50. I have what? 25. I use 2 to divide 32. I have what? 16. So now you can see that it has become what? A perfect number. So 1 over the square root of 25 is what? Is 5. Why the square root of 16 is what? Is what? Is 4. This by what? 3. What happened? I will do okay equals to 1 over 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5, 25. 25 times 5 is what? 1, 2, 5 over 4 times 4, 16. 16 times 4 is what? 64. Now expand it now. 1 over 1 divided by what? 1, 2, 5 over 64 equals to normally 1 over 1. This division will what? Turn into what? Multiplication. Which means that this denominator will become what? Numerator. Why the numerator become what? Your denominator. Which means 64 over 125 equals to 64 over 125. These are final answer for number 1H. We go to number 2 questions, which says what? Evaluate the following. Please, if this is your first time, of watching us on our YouTube channel, please kindly do what? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like. Drop a comment. That is the way you can what? Encourage us. Let's go back to our question here now. Number 2A says what? 3A squared times what? 5A is what? Minus 2. What happened now? I will convert this to what? This is a negative law, which means what? 3A squared times minus means what? 1 over, because this negative affects this whole bracket. So 5A squared. So we see that this negative become what? 1 over this square, and this is the square now. Which means what? 3A times 1 is what? 3A squared over 5. This power 2 is what? 5 times 5, 25. A square means what? 8 square means what? 8 times 8, that's A square. Which means what? We have something common now. We have something in common here now. We have 3A square. Okay, let me go this way. 23 over 25. Then A square minus A square. Which means that this division become what? Is minus. So A square minus A square, which is what? 0. So 3 over 25 is our final answer. You go to number 2B, which is what? 2A is power minus 2 times 6A is power 2. So what happened? I apply what? Negative law, which is what? 1 over 2A is power 3 is power 2 times 6A squared. Which means what? This 2 is power 2 is what? 4. So 1 over 4A. 3 times 2 is what? 6, because this is a bracket law, times 6A squared equals to 6A squared times 1 is what? 6A squared over 4A is power what? 6. What happened? You can divide. Like 6, 2 divided 6 is what? 3. Over 2 divided 4 is 2. Then A squared is this one. This division is what? Negative when it comes to what? To power. So this division is what? Minus A is power 6 equals to 3 over 2 A square minus A is power 6 is what? A is power what? Minus 4. So this is your final answer. This is your final answer. Or you can say that 3 over 2. This negative means what? 1 over. So times 1 over what? A is power 4 equals to what? A is power what? A is power 4, which means 3 times 1, 3 over what? 2A is power 4. So either this one is either you choose this one as an answer, or you choose one as an answer. But at the same thing, I just explained this one in this lower step. Okay, that is it. And number 2C, which is what? 6x is power 3 divided by 8x is power 2 bracket what? Is power what? Minus 3. So this is the question. What happened? I will express it like by saying 6x is power 3 over 8x is power 2 bracket. Because this minus what? Minus is power 3 equals to 6x is power 3 over this 8 means 8 times 8 times 8. 8 times 8 is what? 64. 64 times 8 is what? 512. So 512x. 2 times 3 is what? 6. Mind, we have not expressed this negative sign, so we write minus x power 1. Because minus x power 1 means what? Minus the negative. We have not express it. What next? That's that 6x is power 3 over this minus 1 now. This negative rule is what? 1 over 5, 1, 2 x is power 6 equals to 6x is power 3 divided by, we have here 6x is power 3, this is over division sign, 1 over 1 over 5, 1, 2, x raised to power 6. I believe you understand what's going on here. When that's at 6x raised to power 3, this division means what? Times. Automatically, I told us this denominator become what? Your numerator. Why this numerator become what? Denominator. So 5, 1, 2, x raised to power 6 over 1 over 1 equals to, now 6 times 512 is what? 3072. Now this multiplication sign affect this power, which means what? S3, this multiplication means positive in what? Law of indices, which you know too well, plus 6, which means what? 3072 x raised to power what? 9 as our final answer. We go to number 2D. 2D, which says what? 2y raised to power 0 times bracket 3y raised to power 2 close bracket negative raised to power 3 times what? 7 raised to power 0. So this is a question. Without wasting our time, we say this is a power, this is power 0 power, which is what? N raised to power 0 is what? Is 1, or any number raised to power 0 is what? 1. So being that 2 times 1 times this negative index, which means what? Fraction. So negative means this minus means what? 1 over what? 3y square close bracket 3 times 7 raised to power 0. Don't forget, okay, that this is your assignment or exercise in your comprehensive textbook, page 33. If you are using comprehensive textbook, this is answers. We are doing number 1 to number 3 now. Then later we are going to do number 4 to number 5, because it's 5 questions. So we're going to finish this 1 to 3. Then the next video is what? 4 to 5. So if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please kindly what? Subscribe. Let's continue back to where we are. Okay, now 2 times 1 is 2 times 1 over 3y square means what? This thing now affect this base, which is 3 times 3 times 3, which is what? 27y. 2 plus 3 is what? 2 times 3 is what? 6 times 1. 2 times 1, 2 times 1 is what? 2 equals to 2 over 27y raised to power 6. This is our final answer. Let's go to number 3 question. Number 3a, which is what? 50 x raised to power 3 over 2 equals to what? 32 x raised to power what? Minus 1 over 2. Now this is a question here, and now what happened? Something is common between this one and this. 2 is common between 50 and 32. So I will say they are both by 2. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please kindly what? Hit the subscribe button and like, drop a comment about this video. Okay, back to where we are now. So we say what is common between this and this is what? 2 is common between 50 and 32. And also we are going to eliminate one side, so we're going to use 2. So we say divide both sides by 2, which is common, and we are going to use this one to eliminate x raised to power 3 over 2. So this is what I'm going to use to what? Eliminate this left hand side and right hand side, which is what? 50 x raised to power 3 over 2 divided by what? 2x raised to power 3 over 2 equals to 32 x raised to power what? Minus 1 over 2 over 2x raised to power what? 3 over 2. So if what now, I'm using this 2x power 3 over 2 to what? Eliminate this left hand side and this right hand side. 2 is common between this and this. So I use power now to what? Eliminate both sides. What happened? 2 divided 50. How many times? 25. 2 going into 50 is what? 25. Now look, let's look here now. Okay, look here carefully. X 3 over 2, because this division sign means what? Negative, minus 3 over 2 equals to 32 divided by 2 is what? 16. X is common, minus 1 over 2 minus this division sign is what? Minus 3 over 2. What happened? 25 X is what? 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2 is what? 0. Automatically 0. If you do your fraction about this, is 0. Automatically 0. Equals to 16x minus 1. Okay, let's work this one now. Minus 1 of, okay, the LCM of 2 and 2 is what? Is 2. The LCM of 2 and 2 is what? Is 2. So 2 divided 2 is what? 4. 2 divided 2 is what? 1. 1 times minus 1 is what? Is minus 1. Minus 2 divided 2 is what? Is 1. And 1 times 3 is what? Minus 3. Which means what? Equals to, and this passage is what? Is 1. So 25 equals to 16x minus 1 minus 3 is what? Is minus 4. Minus 4 divided by 2 is what? Minus 2. I believe we understand what happened here. What I did, I solved the fraction of this one, which getting is what? To 0. And here, based on its negative sign, I try to what? Explain also by saying that LCM of 2 and 2 is what? Is 2. 2 by 2 is what? 1. 1 times minus 1 is what? Is minus 1. 2 divided 2 is what? 1. 1 times minus 3 is what? Minus 3. So add them up together. Minus 1 minus 3 is what? Is minus 4. Minus 4 divided by 2 is minus 2. Okay. What next now? I can say that divide both sides by what? By 16. Because I'm looking for x. So divide both sides. Divide both sides by 16. Which means what? 25 over 16 equals to 16 over 16. Mind you, keep what? X minus 2. What happened? These have gone out. What it meant? X is what? To what? Minus 2 equals to what? 25 over 16. Now, what will I do? Take reciprocal of both sides. I want to do what? Take reciprocal. Take the reciprocal of both sides. Which means that if I want to take reciprocal of both sides, what happened? I'm going to have here. Okay, let me get board. Let me get a space. Okay. I'm going to take the reciprocal of both sides of this one and this one. What I do, first and foremost, I'm going to express this one first before I express the reciprocal. 1 over x raised to power 2 equals to 25 over 16. Now, I want to take the reciprocal of this 1 over s raised to power 2, which means what? Automatically is what? S raised to power 2. I believe this on the total have to take. I have to solve reciprocal now. Your GS1, GS2, GS3, the totals have to solve reciprocal. So I won't try solve it here again. Now, then the reciprocal of this one is what? 1 over 25 over 16. So this is the reciprocal of this, and this is the reciprocal of this, which implies that this is what? 16 over 25. So this means what? 16 over 25. So we now have here s squared equals to what? 16 over 25. What happened here now? Take square root of both sides. Take square root of both sides. Take square root of both sides. This is what? Equals to square root of what? 16 over 25. What happened here now? Square divided square is what? X. Equals to the square root of 16 is what? 4. And the square root of 25 is what? Is 5. So this is my final answer. 4 over 5 is my answer. Please don't forget that this is reciprocal. The reciprocal of this one is this. And the reciprocal of this is it. And then which implies this 16 over 25. That is it. Now 3b says this raised to power what? 1 over 2 times what? 64 raised to power what? Negative 1 over 2 times what? 5 raised to power 0. This is the question here. What happened? This is the question here. What happened? Take square, because this is a fractional what? Law. And fractional law means what? Square or cube. Depend on the what? Denominator. So this is 2. So it's square root of what? 36 times. This negative. We have two law here. Negative and what? Fraction. So first and foremost, I will turn to what? To fractional law before the also negative law before fractional law, means what? 1 over this minus means what? 1 over this is a fractional law, square root of what? 64 times any number or any base power 0 is what? Is 1. So here's what? 1. So the square root of 36 is what? 6 times 1 over The square root of the 4 is what? Is what? 8 times what? 1. Because so 6 times 1 is 6 times 1 is what? 6 over what? 8. A number can divide. 2 can divide 6. How many times? 3 times. 2 divide 8 is what? 4. It means what? 3 over 4 is my final answer. We go to number 3C, which is what? 27 is by what? 1 over 3, close bracket, is by what? 2. Okay, this is the question here. What happened? I just obeyed what? My fractional law, which says that any fractional law means what? Square root or cube root depend on the word denominator. So square root of cube root of 27 is by what? 2. So the cube root of 27 is what? Is 3 raised power 2 equals to 3 times 3 equals to what? 9. So 9 is our final answer. So we go to number D. We go to number 3D, which is what? 9 raised power what? Negative fraction over 27 raised power what? 2 over 3. This is a question. What happened? This is a negative law, which means what? Fraction. So minus means what? 1 over. And this is a fraction, which was square root of what? 9 over cube root of 27. I will not start explaining again, but I've already explained about fractional law. Cube root of 27 is power what? 2 equals to 1. The square root of 9 is what? Is 3 over the cube root of 27 is what? Is 3 goes by what? 2. Which now I will not express this thing in what? I will express it in what? In full fraction. So which means what? Equals to 1 over 3 divided by 3 times 3 is what? Is 9 over 1. Okay, now let's clear this one first before we go to the fractional pattern. Let's first express this one first. So we say 1 over 3 over what? 9. Okay, 1 over 3 over 3 raised to 2 is what? Is 9 equals to, I will now express what in full fraction, which is what? 1 divided by what? 3 over 9 over 1. What happened? 1 over 1 times 9 over 3. I told us what happened here. Equals to 9 over 3 equals to what? 3. 3 is the final answer. We go to number 3E. Number 3E, which is what? 1 over 4 brackets is per negative 1 whole number 1 over 2. So this is a question there. Which is what? 1 over 4 brackets. This is mixed fraction. What will I do? I will convert from mixed fraction to what? Proper fraction. So minus 2 times 1, 2 plus 1, 3. So minus 3 over 4. Which means what? 1 over, this negative is what? 1 over, sorry, yes, 3 over 2, yes, okay, 1 over, this negative sign is 1 over 1 square root of what? 4. I need to put it again. This negative sign is what? Fraction, this is 1 over. And this is the word question. That's 1 over 4. Why this 2 means what? Square root of 4. 2 means what? 1 over 1 over 2. I will express it. 1 divided by what? 1 over 2 equals to what? 1 times 2 over 1. Which means 2 times 1, 2 over 1 is what? Equals to 2 as my final answer. This is my final answer. Now, if this is the first time of watching us watching us now, please can do what? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like, drop a comment. We are going to use number 4 and number 5 of this exercise 5A, page 3. So if you have not subscribed, you can't have the answer. And if you're watching us now, kindly go and check our channel. We will drop the answer immediately after the video. Have a nice day.